Hello viewers, welcome to this video lecture series on C programming. In this session, I shall continue with the previous topic, data types. In the previous session, I have explained about the data types, that is the introduction to data types and its classification. And in this session, that is in the part 2 session, I shall explain regarding the first data type in the list, which is the short integer. So in the previous session, we have seen that there are three types. One is the short, or you can write simply int, and or it is the long. We have the signed short, unsigned, and the signed short will accept what? Only positive values, whereas the unsigned short will accept both positive and negative values. And what about the memory? Signed short will occupy 2 bytes in the memory, whereas unsigned short also occupies 2 bytes in the memory. So whenever you are giving a value for the signed short or unsigned short, 2 bytes of memory it takes. So let us see now, if 2 bytes are there for these two types, signed short and unsigned short, what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value it can store. So here let us first see what is the minimum and maximum value it stores for the unsigned short. Unsigned short, okay. What is the minimum and maximum value? Now how to determine the minimum and maximum value? It takes 2 bytes in the memory. So 2 bytes, 1 byte is 8 bits. Fine. So 2 bytes is 16 bits. That means your value gets represented using 16 bits here. If you are giving 0 and if it has to get represented in the binary using the 16 bits, then all the 16 bits will be zeros. This is 1 byte and this is second byte. Okay, all 16 bits 0. That means the minimum, the decimal value here is what? 0. And if you want to find out the maximum value for this unsigned short, then what can be the maximum value if all the 16 bits are ones? So this is 1 byte, this is 1 byte. Then what is the decimal value for this? If all 16 bits are ones, the decimal value is 65,536. So how to find out this? Because you are using 16 bits here to represent the value, 2 to the power of 16 is 65,536. And here you have to see that the range for this unsigned short is from 0 to 65,535. Because you have what? The maximum value 65,536, but your starting value is 0, hence it will end at 65,535. So you remember this. This is what? This is the range of unsigned short int. Similarly, let us see what is the minimum and maximum value for the signed short int. See, in the previous one, that is in the unsigned short, this is the minimum value 0 and the maximum value is 65,536. That means whenever you are declaring a variable in the program and the data type is unsigned short, that time the maximum value for the variable you can give it as 65,535 because the minimum value is 0 here. You cannot give 65,536. Remember, you can give 65,535. Next is the second type, signed short int. In this category, let us see what is the minimum value and maximum value. First thing is, you have to remember, signed is what? It is allowing both positive and negative values. When it allows both positive and negative values, and you are having how many? You are using 16 bits to represent the value. That means 2 to the power of 16, 65,536. This is what is the maximum value. But since here we have both positive values we can give to the variables as well negative values we can give to the variables, but the maximum value is 65,536. So that is why we can equally divide this number into 2. So what we can do is 65,536 divided by 2. If you do, you will get 32,768. So that means for positive values you are using 32,768 and for negative values 32,768. So when you add this, you are getting 65,536. Now positive values, definitely the number starts from 0. For all positive values the range will be from 0 to 32,767, and for all negative values it will be -1 to 32,768. So the same thing, let me put it in a scale. So this is your 0, fine, 1, next is 2, 3, 4 like this, the maximum value will be 32,767. And here negative side 2, 3, 4. So like this, finally the last value can be minus of 32,768. So this way you can just put it in a scale and remember, yes, these are what? These are the possible positive values that can be given to variables, and these are the possible negative values that can be given to variables which are declared as signed short int. How many possible ways we can use this short data type? First, very simple is simply if you are declaring, okay, I'll just write down the subheading as different ways to declare short data type. Okay, so different ways to declare the short data type. First and very simple one is if you are using the word short followed by, let us take for example, sum is a variable here. So simply if you write short and sum, it is considered as what? It is taken as short int sum, or explicitly you can mention short int sum. When we are not using the signed or unsigned word here, by default it is taken as what? Signed. So even if you are writing simply short sum, it is considered as signed short sum. If you write short int sum, it is considered as signed short int sum. That means explicitly if you want, you can write down signed short sum. This also is allowed. Fine. One more, signed short int sum. For all the signed short int, you have 4 different ways to declare. The format specifier for short int is %d. So what is a format specifier and which are the different format specifiers available in C language? All that I shall be explaining you in my future video. Presently you remember that %d is used as the format specifier for which data type? For the short int data type. Now what about different ways to declare unsigned short? Okay, now you have learned the different ways to declare signed short data type. Now what about unsigned? See, for unsigned explicitly you need to specify. So you have only 2 possibilities here. You use the word unsigned, then write down it is short, and then followed by what? The variable, whichever variable you are using. Unsigned short int sum. So here we have 2 ways, and the format specifier for the unsigned short int is %u. So in this session, what is that you need to remember? You have to see that yes, integer types you can either declare it with short or long, and in short you have the signed short and unsigned short, and in that signed short will accept only positive values, whereas unsigned will accept both positive and negative value, and both of these will take 2 bytes in the memory. The minimum value for the unsigned short int is 0, and the maximum value that can be given to a variable in unsigned short int is 65,536. And in the case of signed short int, since you have to give values for both positive and negative, so the range for the positive numbers is 0 to 32767, and the range for negative values is -1 to -32768. One more way you can always remember, this is quite simple. You can say that the data type is integer, and integer can be of the signed type or it can be of the unsigned type. Signed type you can use the keyword only int, or you can use short int, or you have to use long int. Okay, depending on what type of value you want to assign it to the variable, you can use either int, short int or long int. Then similarly for unsigned type, what you have to do is you can use unsigned int, unsigned short int, unsigned long int. Here if you notice that for all this int, short int and long int, we are not explicitly writing the word signed. Though we don't write, it is taken as signed only. So this is signed ints, this is signed short int, and this is signed long int. So this is all about the short integer data type. Hope this session is useful to you all. If you find it useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye bye and take care.